Good morning, friends, and greetings from this lovely city of Mumbai. Recently, some of us were having a conversation, and somehow the topic veered around enlightenment. And someone remarked, enlightenment is a goal too far away, and so much of hard work is needed. This statement set me pondering. No doubt, enlightenment seems so far away. A picture that always emerges in our mind is that of a lonely individual trudging laboriously day after day on a difficult terrain towards an inaccessible peak. So no matter how far the statement of enlightenment might appear, its seeds or glimpses can always be made available to us here and now. And let's have a taste of it together. All I ask of you is your time. Just be here with me. Ask yourself, who is making this effort to be enlightened? And now that you are asking this question, a natural corollary is that you are here. And the being inside you is asking, who is going to do the hard work and make the effort for getting enlightenment? Just think about it. Is there not a sense of effortlessness about this being? The one who is asking? Everyone knows they are. And you also know the feeling. I am. I exist. And the moment someone says he exists, we look at the statement and think that it is spoken by a person, and there is a person there. But is what you are merely a person? What is a person? Now there can be too many things a person can be or is identified with. A body, his age, sex, profession, position in family, relationships, nationality, cultural moorings, belief systems, and so on. But who is there behind the person? Surely it must be I. And the I word is very important, because other words cannot happen until the I word is there. Because every time we speak something, we say, I think this thing, or I want, I choose, I remember, I, I, and I. This I is behind every thought, every utterance, every statement. I think, I remember, I breathe. So it is important. If one wants to go into the subject of his or her own reality, one will have to find out what I is. We are all human, and the human species is a curious lot. It studies so many subjects. It is trying to learn or invent new skills every day. But it is generally not concerned with exploration of the subject I. Do you see what is happening here? One is trying to find out everything else in life without finding out the reality of I, who finds them all. No wonder the knowledge we acquire in this world is not reliable. It is skewed. It is colored by our belief and perception. And this is why all the rishis and the sages proclaimed, know yourself. Know the knower of knowledge. That is I. I and being are synonymous, and the same understanding or feeling is associated with I am. Can we ever go through a day without the feeling of I am? Every individual refers to himself as I. You refer to yourself as I. I is our natural name, and yet nobody gave this to us. No parent named their child, you shall be called I. As the child is growing up, they say, this child will be called Govind. And the child seems to grow up and say, I am Govind. But I is not Govind. We need to find out what I is. I is the same for everyone. When you say I am, it means to be. Am means to be. Just think about it. I am. Who is the I? Who is am? What is it? And let us find out now. So just be alert and attentive. If you don't allow this feeling I to connect with any thought, any concept from any zone of time, it's here. Feel it. What is it? Something is here. We can sense it. It is not connected with anything from any language, any word, any concept, any belief, any form, because it perceives everything. It is not attached to or connected with any concept. Try and see what it is. Don't try to put it in words. Because it is not a word. It sees the words being spoken. It observes the breath that is happening. I repeat, it sees the words being spoken. It observes the breath happening. It sees seeing. It perceives perceiving. It does not need the mind. It watches the mind and has no interest in it. Can you feel? You surely can. Just pay a little attention. What can you describe? Everything comes after. First, the I must arise. Say you woke up this morning at 6. At 59 minutes, 59 seconds past 5. Where were you? What could you discuss? What was your name? And at 6, something came into being. A natural sense of, I am here. No words were spoken, but you knew it. I am here. This sense of I is the first to arise. You cannot perceive the sense of any other thing before the sense of I. First, the sense of I must be there. And this knowledge, this consciousness, I am, must be there first. Only then the sense of the other or anything in this world can come. So you can say, the feeling of I am is the firstborn of consciousness. This I am itself arises. And the moment you woke up, it became self-aware. And now it is perceiving the time, that it is such and such time. And it is still in the waking state. So it knows itself and it also knows every other thing. But can anything know it? As I said, it knows itself. So when we say I am, it is this I that perceives the sense of I am. And everything else, it alone is perceiving. We eat food. It is consumed by the body. Enjoyment happens. And this enjoyment is perceived to take place. When we do not like the food we are eating, there is a sense of dislike. Even that is perceived to arise from the place of I. And we say, I don't like this dish. And this is the kind of witnessing of what is arising. It is the knower. I is the knower. We can look at it in another manner too. When you start counting from 1. And you go on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now why do we start with 1? Because it's a figure and it can be quantified. But before you got to 1, what was there? There was 0. And 1 arose out of 0. But when we count, we don't start with 0. And for us, spiritualists, I is at the 0 place. It watches 1 happen, and then 2, and then 3, and so on. Is it not? So when you are looking for I, it is as if you are looking for zero. So don't touch one. And when you don't touch one, you are here. You naturally know you are. You don't need a mirror to know that you are. You know you are. Suppose someone has a very long surgery, he has been under anesthesia for a long time, and he wakes up. And there is nothing to see, nothing to touch, or to feel, or to measure, nothing at all to perceive. And even that person, when the effect of anesthesia is weaning off, knows that he is. You naturally know that you are. You know I exist. You can examine for yourself. As what do I exist? What is this I? Just feel. Don't bring words. Don't try to hold on to any statement. I am that which is, or something. You can just feel. Letting the silence within grow. This silence is full of life. It is vibrant. Just take some time to rest in this silence. As I share something very interesting. An audio of a session of guided meditation was recorded. It had a period of silence. The video editor, when he was finalizing the audio, thought in his wisdom that the silence was far too long, and he chopped off a substantial portion of it. The edited piece was heard by some experienced meditators, and they found that the period of silence should have been longer. Now what to do? A technician was approached, and he tried to solve the problem by adding digital silence to the audio. When this audio was played again, many could discern the patch of digital silence. It seemed dead. Real silence had an atmosphere, an energy of its own. No wonder Even when all the senses and the mind have been dropped, the I that remains, even though it is silent, is full of immense energy and vitality. So just drop everything now. Don't touch anything. And see what remains there. This is real silence, not the silence of the digital kind. Feel your being. What are you perceiving? Is it sound? Is it a form? There is no need to suppress your senses. Let them be. Simply don't be attached to them. Leave everything. And if the senses pick up something, perceive it, but do not identify. Don't say, I am hearing, I am feeling, etc., etc. Don't touch anything at all. What is it that you see or experience? Go beyond any thought, all thoughts. What do you sense? Everything is happening on its own. And you are witnessing it. You might say, I sense a presence. Very true. There is a presence here. Be in this presence. It is not male or female. It has no nationality. It has no religion. No belief system, no distinguishing characteristics of any kind. This presence, which has no data, which has no quality, is yourself. When you are fully conscious and you are fully present in the moment and you are looking inwards, you can say, this is the self. This is your dynamic being. It is the seed being. It has no identity of its own. Not a doctor, not a mother, not a wife or a husband. It is not a master or disciple. It has no color, no size or shape. Take a few moments just to acknowledge what you are seeing and experiencing. Everything passes in front of this. This is the seat of perception, where even perceiving is perceived. All knowledge reports to this. All knowing springs from here. This is where witnessing of the existence is happening. It is the torch that illumines your entire field of awareness. It is referred to as the divine principle inside each one of us. It announces itself inside the body in the sense, I am. It knows it is. but it does not belong to anybody, nor does anything belong to it. As you become aware of it, notice your inner state, how empty, silent, deep, no disturbance, no alienation, no separation. It is because at this moment you simply are. Now think about it. Does it take any effort on your part to be in your natural state? The answer would be no. You just slided into it. Because the presence is already there. And you are the presence. This is a glimpse of the natural state. Presence and you become the same thing. This is a glimpse, a brief glimpse of what enlightenment, where one rests in his natural state, is like. But the mind and senses have been trained over millions of lifetimes to run amok. So just let them loose. And you might wonder, for how long have I been watching this video? And then you notice the time and you say, oh my God, it has been for so long. And this is how it works. As soon as our sense of doership comes alive, our judgments come alive, and we get carried away by our senses and the mind, the presence of pure, unadulterated I Am is pushed to the background. We do not even miss the presence as we get involved in the play of this world. So having got a glimpse of the seed, we must be aware that it is possible to develop it into a flower, the flower of enlightenment. And this is where joyful effort is of paramount importance. Having once tasted the sweet nectar of the presence, we must apply ourselves to returning back to that experience again and again. And when we are able to hold this state for some time, without deviating from it, then the experience is going to get embedded in our cellular memory. And from then on, our effort can become the effortless effort. We are drawn to it again and again, very naturally. And eventually that state can be reached where a human being rests in his natural state all the time. Of course, for transacting business in the world, he may consciously choose to operate through the senses and the mind. but he is never entangled in them. He is always fully conscious of the natural state of being. As you may have noticed, a glimpse of the natural state is easy to have. Just a conscious dropping of the senses and the mind is enough. But it is the first step. The seed is going to take time to flower. The culmination point, enlightenment, is a long way off. Self-effort and grace are the two wings that power this journey. The masters tell us enhanced awareness is the tool. They call for a two-pronged approach: awareness in action and action in awareness. What is awareness in action? The awareness brings the intellectual understanding, Buddha Gyan, to our living and actions, to Paurush Gyan. Action is awareness, springs from there. It gives us the ability to look and examine in minute detail every single impulse that is contributing to the formulation of our thoughts and actions. And as we become more and more aware of the cause behind each impulse, we can make sure that the resulting action is powered by the awareness of the self. Whether swift or arduous, close or distant, the journey to enlightenment is a journey full of many wonderful discoveries about oneself. It is an invite by the Absolute to become one with the Absolute. Thank you everyone for your time and attention. Be blessed always. Namaskar.